Okay, in this problem we are going to subtract these two rational expressions. So remember, the big two things to remember when you're doing rational expressions are to remember your fractions and to remember your factoring. Those are our two big things. Okay, so as I approach this problem, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the denominator of the first rational expression as the factoring of a squared minus 4, which is a plus 2 times a minus 2. And that's by the difference of squares formula. Over here on the right rational expression, keep the numerator as a plus 1, and on the bottom there, since it's kind of reversed from what we typically like, I'm going to factor out a negative sign. So it becomes a negative. The 2, which was positive, will now become negative, and the a, which was negative, will become positive. So there we'll have an a minus 2. So notice this already gives me a big advantage that the two denominators both have this a minus 2 quantity in them. Now, one thing I want you to see before we carry on here is that you'll see that there's a minus sign here and a negative sign here. So we're subtracting a negative number, which means that we're really effectively adding. So a squared plus 8 over a plus 2 times a minus 2, minusing a negative, so that's going to be a plus a plus 1 over a minus 2. So again, that minus a negative becomes the plus in the middle. Actually, let me make that blue, because every line I'm kind of keeping blue are the things that are changing from one line to the next. Okay, so now as I get ready to go to the next step, I need to get myself a common denominator. So I'm going to group these. And notice that on the left I have a plus 2, a minus 2. So on the right hand side I'm going to have to introduce that missing a plus 2. And whatever I do to the top, I must always do to the bottom. Sorry, whatever I do to the bottom, I must always do to the top. Right there I'm effectively multiplying by 1 because the numerator and the denominator are being multiplied by the same thing. Okay, so now what do we have? Well, now we have on the left a squared plus 8 over a plus 2 times a minus 2. And then on the right we have, in the denominator, you can see that it's still a plus 2 times a minus 2. I'll write them in the same order. And in the numerator, I'm now going to multiply out what we actually have. We have an a squared plus a plus 2a for the insides and the outsides. So that's plus a 3a. And then I have plus 2. Okay, so now what? Now we have common denominators. So I'm going to be able to rewrite this as one single fraction. The denominator, a plus 2 times a minus 2. And in the numerator, we have a squared plus 8, and that's being added to a squared plus 3a plus 2. Okay, so one final step. What do I get when I combine the numerator, when I collect like terms? Well, the bottom's unaffected, a plus 2 times a minus 2, and in the numerator, we end up having 2 of these a squareds. We only have 3 a's, and then we have 8 and 2, and 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. So you should think about it for a few moments to see if that numerator factors any, because that would be a more simplified version for our purposes here to look for reduction, but a quick check makes sure that this actually won't work. This does not factor down any further, and therefore this is your final answer.